Hey everybody, welcome, and thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle, and today I'm thrilled to be able to share this interview with you. They say never meet your heroes, but I got to, and this is a couple from kind of podcasting world. I don't listen to a ton of podcasts, but one of the highlights for me over the last couple years has been listening to Who Shat on the Floor at My Wedding. And it's about a wedding between Helen McLaughlin and Karen Whitehouse, who decided to join me to talk about their wedding, but also their marriage. And it's cool to get behind the scenes and to hear about their unique philosophy on, well, podcasting, but also just relationships in general. And, you know, sad for me, my microphone wasn't working that great. Here I am on a podcast about a podcast, which just doesn't sound too much like a podcast, but they sound amazing. I think you're really going to appreciate hearing from them. Don't fail to check out Who Shat on the Floor at My Wedding. It is a delight. They are currently in season 3. But for now, we get to just hear about who they are, what they're up to, and how they're thinking about life after the wedding. This is a very cool conversation. Stick around. So you guys, you got married and somebody shat on the floor at your wedding. We know about that. We heard all about that on the podcast, which is hilarious. If you haven't listened to it, dear listener, then go ahead and check it out. Season 2 is coming out soon, yeah?
Season 3 is out, yeah.
Season 3 is out. Season 2 is the one with the suit and the case?
Yes, we did the little take on Scandi Noir, and now we've gone to a completely new format, which is speed solving a new crime every 1 or 2 episodes. And they're listener-submitted cases, and we get up to all sorts of weird antics.
I love it. I love it. I want to know how you guys decided to do this. You know, somebody shat on the floor at your wedding, which was its own story. We know what happened. I know what happened anyway. I guess well, no spoilers, I suppose. What happened between the two of you? Like when this started out as a story in your life and in your wedding and your marriage, what happened for you guys?
I mean, I'll take the beginning part of that, and I think you take the final part. So Helen didn't know anything about this until we got back to the hotel after the wedding. And for people that haven't listened, why this is quite an amusing case is that someone shat on the floor at our wedding quite early on in the evening. The shit in question, the matrimonial turd, as I like to refer to it as. I discovered it alongside a few other witnesses at around 9 o'clock in the evening. It was in the ladies' bathroom. I just felt it was too early on, too far away from any bathroom and too firm. It was just, I walked in and I was like, that was no accident, was the first thing that popped into my head. And because we got married on a boat, which is what we call an enclosed crime scene, we knew it had to be one of our nearest and dearest guests that were on the boat. So it was just this amazing kind of murder mystery whodunit setup. Yeah. But also, I mean, I think we genuinely, I think Helen and I put so much effort and investment into making this amazing day. And I'm a producer. We kind of organised a lot. We put a lot of love into wanting to celebrate our love. And I think there's a point when you're like, wow, this is kind of funny. But also because I think it was not an accident, there's something that kind of sits with you afterwards going, was this a little bit intentional, and was there something actually a little bit more sinister to this?
We talked about it though for probably 3 years, I'd say, and we'd tell people about it, and then you'd suddenly, if you brought it up somewhere, you'd suddenly realise, and you'd look and you'd realise 3 hours later everybody's still discussing it, or their own stories, or a version of a story, and it's like there's something there. And I think you were looking for a creative project, weren't you? And the one idea which fell through, and then we were just like, well, why not just make something with this Who Shat on the Floor? And then you just started thinking about it, and the creative juices got flowing.
And you were amazing because she gave me such support. She was like, I didn't have the money to make it, even though it's super cheap production. She was like, here's a bit of money to just go and do it. I could fully support you. And I think without you, we absolutely wouldn't have made it. And it just became it made a lot of people laugh. So we're incredibly proud of having made it.
Yeah. No, it's delightful. I mean, again, it's one of those things where like when you type to people LOL, like you're laughing out loud and you're not really laughing out loud. You're just signaling that you are laughing out loud. I definitely laughed out loud a lot during the thing, but it comes back to this question about this thing that was maybe kind of disturbing, maybe kind of sinister. How did you decide, even before the podcast, you know, in those first 3 years, to think it was funny or learn to find the humor in it? Is that a thing that you're naturally gifted at? Did you make a deliberate choice? How did you pull that off?
I mean, I think we like in life to make lemonade of lemons overall. And I think that's a really beautiful thing of when something crap happens to you, how can you make it into something good? But I think that, I mean, for me, I think that most of all, we dined out on the story because it's just quite outlandish and quite funny. And it's so rare to have an enclosed crime scene where you've got your best mates all in one place.
And your family.
And your family. And you know, it had to be one of them. So we dined out and I think we laughed a lot. But there were a few quiet moments, possibly more for me.
As we were making it, you'd realise, actually, somebody really did this. And then it would be quite horrible.
And I think you just would be at sort of everyday moments in life. So you'd be at a dinner party and then you'd be with some of your friends that were at the wedding and you'd look at them and you'd just go, yeah, actually, it could have been you. And you just kind of lose yourself for a moment and you just start questioning. There are little moments where you question your friendships. And my boss, I was like, she was at the wedding. Was there something where I was trying to step on her toes at work or didn't do a good job? And you start your mind starts spinning a little bit.
Everyone is a suspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. What has it been like to bring that story out into the public? You're like, basically it's like the seminal story of your marriage. And then all of a sudden your marriage, or at least your wedding, is under the scope. Has it been true of your relationship as well?
We both had the idea to make this thing and we thought it was really funny. And it was kind of started as a joke, but Lauren, the detective, and I were both producers by trade. So we're both advertising producers. So we know how to sort of probably overproduce and get high quality content. So we did that. But then I actually sort of took a step back and I've always wanted to be like, what could be this? What's the best this could be? And I thought, I've always wanted, I think I'd never had a chance to make my own stuff as a producer. And I was like, well, what would I want to make? And what's my mission behind it? And I was like, I just want to make content to spread joy to the world. And it might sound cheesy, but that was my leading mission. And I think that was, I guess what led it all. So I think we both felt an incredible pride of the fact nothing happened for like a year and a half after we launched it. And we just thought, well, that was fun to make and stupid. But then it went viral and it hit us just as we were moving here to the UK from Amsterdam.
A couple of years ago. And
that's where I think we never really saw it coming almost, the success that came from it. And
just a slow burner and then all at once.
But it was there were moments.
Yeah. It was a viral tweet, which you can't really predict how that might spread. And it just went from like 0 to was it 1 million in a week or something crazy? Hundreds of thousands in a week.
Yeah, we beat Joe Rogan at one point, which cracked us up. That there was a shit on the floor.
1 week we beat Joe Rogan, which is insane. Yeah, that's true.
But I think there was a moment where it was a bit weird for us where, it was fully done with intent because before, when I thought it just failed, but I did press releases. I sent some of our, wedding pictures in a press pack and then the Sun picked it up and there's a few stories, but nothing massive. But then they got all these journalists had our wedding photos and they were everywhere online. You just Google Karen Whitehouse and Helen McLaughlin and our whole personal intimate wedding photos are everywhere.
It's quite bizarre.
And I try
not to look at it, really.
Yeah.
I pretend it's just out there, but I don't look at it. I don't like to see myself.
Well, I think the photo, I just remember that it's such a superficial thing, but and I'm not a superficial person, but there's just my hair the day of our wedding was just a bit of an abomination. And you're like,
it was not.
I think it was not. It was a donut
it
bun.
Was great.
But it was a really oversized donut. And I have regrets, but when you just make a decision, you're reminded of it in proper viral media sense. You're like, the one day that I make a bad hair choice.
Do you know the one lovely thing about it though? So we listened a long time ago to a show called My Dad Wrote a Porno. It's a podcast where one of the guy's father literally writes a few books of porno and then he and his 2 friends, they sit and dissect it. And it's a really funny podcast and it takes you off to some other place because it's nonsense and it's silly and it's just funny. And I remember, because I was going through a difficult time after my mother died, and we would drive around doing all the different things you have to do, all of the, you get very busy dealing with the estate and so on. And it was so nice. And I think one of the other things we said setting out with the podcast was if you could give people that kind of escapism, that would be really lovely. And we actually did get some people messaging saying they were going through a hard time. They were, you know, things that were going on in their lives, and they just really appreciated the escapism. And that was like, we were high-fiving sort of thing, weren't we? It was like,
they were our heroes for that reason. It was a very personal podcast to us. I mean, wildly successful. My dad wrote a porno, guys. They're just geniuses that made that. But yeah, when we got the messages of, you know, my grandma's just passed away and I'm really struggling, and your podcast has been a real sort of, you know, place for me to escape and just enjoy and actually laugh during a really dark time. So yeah, it was.
It's quite an achievement, really. Those were a couple of the goals, and they were well achieved, I'd say.
Yeah.
Do you know why those are goals for you? Like, is that part of how you're wired in general, or did you just? I mean, what is? Not everybody wakes up thinking about wanting to bring joy into the world. Why is that important to you?
Yeah, I guess we've gone through a bit of a journey. It sounds so annoying when you're like, we've been on a bit of a spiritual journey. It sounds so awful, but we have actually. We've done a bit of work on ourselves, and I think we've both had trials and tribulations to go through, and especially Helen had a very traumatic period in the last 8 years. And it makes you think and want to meditate and think what your purpose is a little bit.
You have to, I think, transmuting energy, something negative into something positive. I think that's a good part of why we're here.
Yeah.
I think that's, if you can do that.
Why we're here, Helen and Karen, why we're here, or why people are here?
I think, well, let's say, I certainly feel like we're not here to be grumps. I think we're here to be joyful and happy and spread love and joy and things like that. And I guess show people that that's what a choice, right? It is a choice. Being happy is actually a choice, or you can choose to go the other way and find yourself in misery. And that's, obviously a valid route, but not one for us.
How do you do that when you're not podcasting? How do you guys find joy or choose happiness?
Gosh, that's a question, isn't
it? Daily gratitude.
Yeah.
Is a good one.
Gratitude, I would say. I mean, it comes so natural. I mean, on a relationship level, I feel so blessed to have Helen in my life. I mean, you're just so silly but stable, and I mean, there's a lot of joy here. And we have our tough moments, of course we do, but I think we help each other. We always do help push each other in the right directions and grow. I think in our vows, we always, it's one of those cheesy lines, we're like, want to grow together. But genuinely, I think since I've met Helen, the amount that I have personally transformed through her help is massive. And
I wouldn't say help, it's more support, cheerleader.
Yeah.
Because we've both been working on ourselves, and we've evolved. I think we're quite lucky, because I think if one of you is on a journey where you're growing and the other one isn't, that might be troublesome, because you become a different person. Whereas we've been kind of at a similar pace, haven't we? Which has been, handy.
Yeah. Can you tell? What would you tell us about your tough times? You said, of course, we have tough times. What do those look like for the two of you?
I think our toughest time, the most heartbreaking, the biggest amount of grief that you had a tough time with your mother, but for us as a couple, we went through the whole IVF journey, which was so incredibly painful. Looking back on it, I wouldn't change it for the world, because it's I call it my little snowflake journey, where I'm one of these people that my main issue was I was always overly optimistic. I would never accept grief, or I would always push negativity away.
And not deal with it.
And just be like, well, at least I've got this, or I'll see the positive in everything. And it's so important to learn to sit in emotions. And it's been my biggest challenge. And the failure to have children together over a period of 4 years, which was just heartbreaking. It was every month getting your hopes up and then crashing, and then having to like put control over yourself, being like, am I meant to be running? No, I shouldn't be like doing high impact exercise. What should I be eating? Should I be having fun? Should I not? And it's,
all consuming.
It was all consuming. And I think that was, that for us was a really, really horrific time. But also, again, I appreciate the journey that we went on together. It certainly got us closer. It helped me work out how to deal with emotions, which wasn't my strongest point.
I think let's say one of the other areas of growth, we moved to the UK about 2.25 years ago. And we've moved from living in the centre of Amsterdam, which is a sort of bustling city. You just step out of your door and there's action. And, you hop on your bike, you're with friends, you can call people, you're, in a bar drinking in 15 minutes sort of thing. And moving to the Cotswolds, which is very quiet, it's countryside, it's a very different pace of life. And I think some of the, let's say, the quiet and maybe more solitude, less spontaneity, it means we've probably had to sit with emotions more, I would say. And so instead of, let's say, avoiding or distracting yourself, you actually sit with it and actually work through some of those things. And I think that's also been very transformative, I'd say.
Hard as well, but transformative.
Yeah.
Why did you make that move? Why did you make that move from the city to the country?
It was actually a really difficult decision for us because Helen hasn't got a big family, and so your friends, Helen's friendship group in Amsterdam was your family.
I was there for 25 years, so it was my home, really. I was there longer than I lived in the UK. So
yeah, she as soon as Helen graduated from university, she got her first job and just went to Amsterdam. So it's been your life. I went there, on the other hand, with the intention. My sister was living as an expat out there. She was one of my best friends. I thought, well, I'm a bit bored of London. Let's just pop over there for a year, see how it goes. Ended up staying there for 12 years. I met Helen in my fourth year? I don't know. I'm not great at maths, but quite early on. And I missed my family. My dad was getting a lot older and more frail, and he was sick. So it was a mixture of that, needing to be closer to family, but also just feeling a bit. Amsterdam's a fun, amazing city, and it's one of these like picture perfect places, but it's very small, and you can get a bit of cabin fever, and you feel like you're a bit in the Truman Show of doing the same things.
You can repeat cycles, Groundhog Day, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, and I think we just felt both a bit stagnant and needed a massive. I just fancied a change and to be close to my family. And I think you can't really get further away from the centre of Amsterdam, of a party city, to where we are right now, which is a small, tiny town
6,000 people town
in the middle of the rolling hills of England. They've got a tweed mill down the road and a couple of pubs.
It's the next tweed mill, it's apartments now.
But that's literally all we got. A few farms.
It's been a good thing though. So, because your father I think he had a fall a couple of weeks ago, and your mum was obviously in a fluster, and she called, and you were able to just hop in the car and go there and be there. And that's one of the big reasons why we're here. So you're close and you are that support, really.
Yeah.
So it's been the right thing to do, I think.
Yes, definitely.
Difficult, but also, and then let's say it's been transformative as well. So we're there helping your folks, being near with your sister and her children. And then I think the time we've had, I guess, to just become, let's say we're sort of evolving into a new phase of our lives, really.
It's always a bit weird to come back when you're older to the place where you grew up. And for Helen, we're now where she grew up, really, or very, very close to it. And I think that's you found it a bit confronting, I think, in a way, because it kind of marks your age. It's a bit of a marker of, wow, we're away from the fun. It's not the fun phase. That sounds like a bad thing to sort of put Amsterdam at that, but it's definitely a different phase for us.
That was one of the things, coming back and driving to like one of the towns up the road, and then memories come back. Memories you've forgotten. I know my stepfather, he died of motor neurone, which is pretty gruesome illness. And so lots of memories around that came that I hadn't really dealt with, but being physically here kind of brought a lot of those things back. And I've been gradually able to, I guess, process things that I maybe had been avoiding.
Did you do your IVF situation mostly in Amsterdam, or did you do that in both places, or did you leave that behind?
Yes.
What's that been like? Yeah. Has that been part of it for you?
Well, when did we, I think we left it behind. I made a call, I guess I just couldn't do it anymore. And I think that was a year before we left.
So we left in 23, and it was definitely in 21 and 22, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we had a year of processing. It's the first time I've actually actively sought therapy to just try and process the grief, and I did that in Amsterdam. So I felt like I had done a lot of work before we came here.
Was that the lady with the pen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get lots of, when you're going through infertility, like nightmare journeys, you get a lot of hooky fooky people that just, I don't know.
Who's the lady with the pen?
She was a spiritual kind of acupuncturist / she just talked. I just spent a lot of money and she just talked absolute bullshit back at me. But there was one thing I do remember where she said, Karen, I think she had an accent, I can't remember where it was from, but she said, here's a pen. And she gave me a pen in my hand. And she said, hold this pen like it's the thing that means the most to you in the world. And it's the thing that you want the most. And immediately I just held it really tight. And she went, that's the problem. You need to just give the things that you want and the things that you love some space. And I was like, awesome, cool. I just want to get pregnant. So can we just, I was like, it's hard to. But she had a point, and I think it kind of, I remember that.
She had pictures of loads of people's children who'd sent her like success stories and photos of their children, didn't she, all over office? Now I'm wondering if they were actually really sent to her, if she cut them out of magazines.
I think she cut them out of magazines. The worst one was a meditation that I did where this crazy woman, she was crazy and an absolute fraud. She was like, I'm going to let you...
Same lady? Different lady?
No, different lady. I mean, there's a whole dark, like black market of dodgy, like fertility experts that I just should be in jail, quite frankly.
They're feeding on that need.
The need and the misery. Yeah. But yeah, she was like, I'm going to guide you in a meditation to meet the soul of your unborn baby, basically. And like, it was some kind of crazy head fuck, to be honest. I was like, that shouldn't be allowed to sort of do that. But I mean, absolute. You know, when you're sort of in a meditation, you're trying to open one eye being like, is this still going on?
That doesn't sound right.
It wasn't great. No. Awful.
Hey, just a quick interruption to bring you news of season 3 of Who Shat on the Floor of My Wedding. You should definitely listen to season 1, but I personally am excited to listen to Helen and Karen and Lauren solve more crimes in season 3. Check it out.
The police face an endless stream of calls, but some cases they simply reject.
911, what's your emergency?
Someone's broken into my home and cleaned it from top to bottom.
A cooked lasagna suddenly appeared in front of my tent and it's freaking me out.
These victims have had nowhere to turn until now.
Introducing When the Cops Say No, We Say Yes. I'm assistant to the detective, Karen Whitehouse.
And I'm Detective Lauren Kilby. We investigate ridiculous crimes with absolutely no qualifications.
Tune in now to When the Cops Say No,
We Say Yes.
Okay, that's season 3 of Who Shat on the Floor of My Wedding. You should check it out. But first, back to the marriage stuff.
So here you are. Now you're in the country. It's interesting to hear you talk about, like, my brain just kind of is trying to wrap my head around it. This idea that in Amsterdam, you're in a small, contained environment that feels like the Truman Show, and yet you've moved to a town that's smaller, and yet it feels bigger. Is that what you're describing?
It's more space, more like, I think there's I think it's the feeling of intensity that we felt in Amsterdam. And I can only say that it's about cortisol levels, I think.
There's a buzz in a city, isn't there, continuously? Like there's movement, there's music, there's a constant, let's say, vibration almost. And you feel it, especially in very busy cities. Whereas here, there's not that. It's very quiet. It's very still.
I think I called it microaggressions when I got out of the city. And Amsterdam is a bit of a crazy city if you've ever been there. It's
people on bikes.
As soon as you step out of your door, you've got bikes that aggressively go past you. They'll try and clip you with your elbow.
They'll
You've
knock
got
you down.
trams. They'll knock you down. You've got so many tourists that can't fit. They don't have pavements, so people are spilling out into the road. You've got angry taxi drivers, people shouting. There's loads of like hardcore trance, like techno parties going on. There's like drunk people. There's people on drugs. There's like dog shit everywhere. I don't know. There's always just
You're not
like
selling it, are you?
It's a beautiful
terrible.
city, especially the UNESCO heritage site of the Canal Belt. But when you live there, you just absorb these little microaggressions you don't notice. When we moved here to the countryside, just step out the door and you just can breathe, I think.
And you can see rolling hills. You can see countryside and rolling hills. I think connection to nature is pretty important for, let's say, grounding and recalibrating.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm sort of like, I'm trying to figure out in my own life how to slow down and just like, even just read for pleasure. Just like read a book for no reason other than because I want to. Do you read for pleasure? That just occurred to me. Like, do you ever just read for pleasure? What do you read?
Helen cracks me up with what she reads for pleasure. Mine's very much like a lovely novel that'll just, take me away somewhere. Helen will just be, you don't, so it'll be like trading or some crypto technical sort of book.
Or I'll read things like Atomic Habits or that sort of thing where, like iterative change or let's say a lot of stuff about personal growth, I think, because I'm trying to learn to trade Forex and you need to be really present. And so to be present, you need to have dealt with a lot of, I guess, any baggage, basically, so that you can think clearly.
Trying to learn to trade, what did you say?
Foreign currencies. So foreign currencies. There's fundamentals.
You're actually trying to learn a technical skill.
Yeah, so there's fundamentals.
I thought it was like, I was trying to learn to trade Forex like it's a spiritual thing you're trying to engage.
This is
you're
like
trying to learn
6 screens in her office and God knows.
It's quite funny because it's fundamentals, it's technicals in terms of reading the charts, then it's, let's say, risk management and probabilities, which is, more maths and tangible, but then there's a behavioral element, a psychological element about how you handle yourself in moments of stress and how you behave. You have to behave counter to what your intuition might be. So, yeah, it's been really, funnily enough, that's been one of the things that's really driven me to keep evolving and keep changing, is trying to get better and better at that. So, I read a lot of books about it.
Your trading is like an amazing therapist, actually. It gives you a reflection.
I had no idea when I started it that's how it would go. But, it's so I'm reading, I guess, self-helpy kind of things.
Is it your job? Is it your hobby? Is it just a side hustle that you have going on? Or
that's my hobby. It's my hobby that hopefully will become my job one day.
What's your actual job? Do you have an actual job right now?
I'm in cybersecurity, like banking, insurance, that kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
She's pretty badass.
Well, it's quite boring, really.
It's not really.
Is it? It probably sounds more interesting than it is.
Well, you got 2 cool words in it, cyber and security. Those are kind of fun.
I guess it's topical.
Yeah. And then, Karen, what are you doing? Are you doing the podcast? Are you doing other things, or how do you?
I am this close to giving up my day job to focus purely on comedy podcast production. I do the occasional job still in advertising, and I still really enjoy it. But we're on a big mission right now to do an always-on show for season 3 and keep tackling the world's weirdest and most fun comedy crimes to try and put,
I'm going to brainstorm one because I want to be on. I want my crime to be on the show. I just got to figure out how to find one around. So I'll figure that out here shortly.
Anything that makes you laugh, but there's a slight sinister edge to it when you think about it. That's our sweet spot. Yeah,
it's quite cool, really, to sort of, let's say, carve your own path and gradually launch it so that you can step out into a new career. It's pretty. I would say brave, but it's you've been gradually building it so for a few years now that it's becoming a, let's say, stable structure of its own that you can step onto. It's quite cool.
It's taken a lot of hard graft.
A lot of work,
and talking back to Helen's Atomic Habits, it's just showing up every single day, keeping the faith, just not getting knocked when things don't work out or you think you failed. Just, keeping positive and resilient and just keeping focused on the goal. And my goal's just been to be able to breathe a bit more, work from the most beautiful countryside, making content to spread joy to the world. And I'm like, if I can get that, God, I feel that's success for me. So I'm just working as hard as I can to try and get there.
You'll get there.
I have a question I kind of wish I'd asked a little bit earlier, because I think about my work in therapy as detective work. Like, I sit down with a couple and they come in and they've got this mystery that is, it's not working the way we want it to, or something went wrong, or we lost something, or something was, whatever it is. And so I think about my work kind of as a detective. Is that an identity that the two of you have cultivated? Do you feel like detectives in any way, or is there anything to learn about detective work from you or from your podcast or from what you've learned from the podcast in the last 5 years or so?
Gosh. I mean,
I know it's the gag, right? It's the gag is we're bad at being detectives, and Lauren's like, I took this online course and maybe I can like try some stuff out. But like, are there actual principles and practices that have emerged in the sleuthing out a mystery zone that are valuable for you?
I think it's a really basic one, but just don't make assumptions. There's some natural sort of when we've made so many mistakes along the way because we pride ourselves on being unqualified detectives.
Totally.
And I think it's so amazing when you just go into it and we're trying really hard to solve these cases. And we just naturally, in season 2, we made such a mistake because we really just went with all of our biases about what a suspect should be. And we really
missed it.
We did, because you kind of have your prejudices in your head. And if you don't treat everything as like anyone has the potential to do anything, and you really have to dig to the truth and not bring your bias. It's actually really hard not to bring your bias to something. And I think that does apply to relationships, because I think we had a bit of a bicker earlier today, and I think we're getting better now. I think it's saying, actually, I'm going to take a step back and try and explain, so we don't fall into the bias point of view. Because I was like, actually, no, I wasn't being like that because of this. There was a really kind reason of why I acted like that. And I think it's just, not judging people too quickly.
We dealt with that quite well, I thought.
I could have probably said sorry earlier. But...
No, because I went.
You mean this morning?
Yeah, we had sort of. I think I was asking for advice on something, and then Karen was upset. I'd listened to a friend's advice and not her advice, and was a bit, I don't know, shirty about it. And I was like, "Why are you being so mean? I'm just asking for your help." And then I was like, "Right, I'm just going to go away for a while." And so I went to the hardware store to pick some stuff up, and
you sidled back in, and I went, I have to apologise. And it's always really hard, isn't it, being the one that has to be like, I was a bit of a dick.
I thought you were really good, because then that like neutralises it immediately. And then we actually talked about the root cause of it. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, I get that. And then it's smoothed over. It's, yeah.
Did you say Shirty?
She was Shirty, yeah.
Make me smarter. Tell me is that shitty? Is that you saying shitty with an accent, or is that some other
Shirty?
phrase?
No, it's a bit like short and let's say grumpy and
a bit.
I'm stealing it.
Terse.
Yeah, terse. It's a good English word.
Yeah,
I'm
going to use it.
You were Shirty.
I'm going to use it when
shirty.
I'm in London.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Don't get shirty with me.
Don't get shirty with me. I'll say that to the concierge at my hotel.
That'll be perfect.
Should we send you with a pack of a few Englishisms that you can kind of just
totally?
Really
yeah, I'll try them out. I'll just practice, because I'm all about practice. Well, before we go, what advice do you have for people who are, I don't know, planning a wedding, thinking about getting married on a boat, just thinking about getting married in general? What would you say is the secret?
Have a forensic scientist on your guest list. Make sure you've got DNA kits. Just be really vigilant. Record everything. Make sure you get the CCTV footage immediately after, because it does expire.
Mic everybody up right away.
Exactly.
And be really selective about the guest list.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just really check you really want them to be there and you trust them. That would be...
Although, you just never know. That's the thing.
You never know what your friends are capable of, or family.
Okay. And do you have real relationship advice as we part?
I think, to be honest, you probably don't want to hear this, but I think it's about the start.
I'll take it.
Just finding the right person. It just shouldn't be that hard.
It shouldn't be that hard, yeah.
I think I feel so blessed. Like it is, I mean, it wasn't easy. I was straight before I met Helen, and she was the first woman that I had a little dalliance before I met Helen, but it was just, I didn't even think twice, never look back.
I think you taught me, let's say, to approach every situation from a place of love. And so that's sort of compassion and love and kindness. And that's something I think that has really helped our relationship to sort of flourish and be quite mature in how we deal with each other.
And I think really the big one is, I mean, it is compromise. We had some absolute clangers of arguments.
In the first year?
In the first year, really bad.
Clanger. I'm stealing that one too.
But yeah, really bad. And because I'm not an argumentative person, it takes me so much to get to an argumentative state.
I don't like to see you angry. It's really quite scary.
When she pushes me over the edge and I change and I suddenly get angry, it's so rare.
It's happened a handful of times and I'm always like...
She squeals and runs away. It's quite fun. But I do think it's about learning your love language, because I think what I realise, and this is a message I want to get out, because it saved, it's helped us so much and really improved our connection, was when we had a tense moment. I think, Helen, you won't mind me saying that you've got a bit of a fear of abandonment. So whenever we got in the tense bad arguments, your instinct would be to push me away and say, well, we'll just break up then.
I'm leaving.
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And then I would obviously react going, that is so not, I don't want to break up. That's such an extreme, ridiculous response. And then so we would spiral and be like, that's such a like immature way to respond. And like, you don't mean that. And then all I learned is that she just needs me to come and be there and hug her and say, I'm never leaving. I love you so much. It took a lot for me to make
be the better person to do that.
But once I did, and I just consistently showed her that I am sticking around and you understand what your triggers are and why, and you dig deeper, that, I mean, it really helped us just to learn the love language. And you know that I need a lot of praise.
You need praise. You need constant recognition for whatever it is, whether it's something you've done or said or produced or whatever.
It's free, isn't it? Just be like, wow, that was really cool what you did today.
I should set an alarm just to sort of remind constant.
Wow, the kitchen looks great.
Honest to God, I give a lot of men that advice. Anyway, I look at them and I see that they have an Apple Watch on. I go, just tell Siri, to every 2 hours, remind you to compliment your wife. And he's like, I can do that. I was like, yeah, you can do that. And she's usually sitting right there. And I'll say, don't tell her I said that though, because we don't want her to know that Siri is the one who is prompting you. But even the act of recognizing that's a priority and a skill that you need to develop is as a loving act. So
I think the other thing as well is to avoid 2 bottles of white wine in one sort of session. The only arguments we ever had really that were really bad were after drinking white wine for some reason. So now we're like, no, we'll just have one bottle.
No white wine.
No white wine, yeah.
Are you okay if you have like red wine or tequila or
anything else? Just the white wine. We realised that it just seemed to be some crazy trigger.
Turn into monsters, really.
So we have to ration it.
Well, again, that's real. Like if you're like, oh, we only argue when we have white wine, don't have white wine. Like it's it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
After 2 of those arguments, we were like, cutting it out.
Although I think we're both quite nice. Maybe we should just do it one night and release the bitch.
Let's do it.
See what happens.
Let's do it at your sister's wedding and see how that goes down.
That'd be fun.
That's awesome. Listen, I've loved talking to you guys. It's been fun to collect a little bit more of your story, get behind the scenes of who sat on the floor at your wedding. Do you have anything else that you want to share with the whole wide world? Although your audience is bigger than mine.
Just if you have any non-crime crimes or comedy mysteries that you are desperate for 2 unqualified detectives to solve for you, then just message us, DM us at Who Shat on the Floor at My Wedding, or our website, whoshatonthefloor@mywedding.com.
100%. I'm going to find a mystery. I'm going to submit it to you because I want to be a part of the party. I want to keep it going.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for hanging out with me this morning or this afternoon, wherever it is you are.
Have a lovely time in England.
Yeah, enjoy. We'll give you we'll send you a few sentences that you can impress the Brits with.
Yeah. So some English phrases.
Bit of Cockney rhyming slang.
All right. Thank you so much to Karen and Helen from Who Shat on the Floor at My Wedding for joining me on Marriage Therapy Radio. I, again, really loved talking to them, and I have now come and gone from England. So we didn't get to see each other while I was there, but maybe next time. Speaking of next time, we got a lot of cool interviews coming up, and the team and I are really excited about 2026, and we get to roll out there. We have some cool announcements that we're going to share with you at the top of the year. But for now, we're going to just say happy December, happy holidays, whatever it is that you choose to celebrate. And thank you for the time and attention you put into making your relationship better today than it was yesterday.